Supportive of this important effort. Outcompeting China is going to take a coalition of committed allies and partners. Some Republicans want AUKUS to be more than just a talking point or a one-time summit deliverable. We want it to be an enduring contribution to our collective security and a major expansion of defense cooperation with our closest allies. But
typically, when you have debt discharge, the IRS treats it as taxable income. With student loan forgiveness, taxes work differently. In March, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan, which included a clause regarding student loan forgiveness, saying that any federal student loans that were discharged between 2021 and 2025 would not be considered taxable income in terms of federal taxes. Now, lawmakers are back in Washington for the predetermined midterm election sprint. Preventing a government shutdown will be the top legislative item for all lawmakers. The political environment has shifted over the past few weeks. This is impacted by a batch of legislative wins for Democrats earlier in the summer and signs the inflation-laden economy is improving. Democrats are now more confident than ever that they can stem expected losses in President Biden's first midterm elections. They are hopeful they can retain a majority in the Senate, while preventing Republicans from gaining a broad majority in the House. Passing a short-term spending bill before a deadline of September 30th at midnight, when the government funding is set to expire, is a top concern for everybody in Congress. The bill will need the support of Republicans in the Senate, and the 60 votes need to pass. Democrats want to demonstrate to voters they can govern responsibly and not allow a damaging shutdown. In the Senate, Democrats will also keep confirming federal judges nominated by Biden, with government funding set to expire at the end of the month. Both chambers are expected to pass some kind of stopgap funding extension in the upcoming weeks to avert the shutdown, and stopgap funding bills are known as Capitol Hill as a continuing resolution. The Senate Appropriations Chair, Patrick Leahy, a Vermont Democrat, is also aiming for a continuing resolution to run until mid-December to allow lawmakers time just to finish the regular appropriation bills. Now, Hawaii Democratic Senator Brian Schatz summed up the to-do list for Senate Democrats when asked recently by CNN when the September work period will look like. He said continuing resolution and judges. Amid concerns that the higher prices will hurt consumer wallets, some state and federal lawmakers are looking at ways to ease that pain at the pump. Mike Thompson, John Larson, and Lauren Underwood introduced the Gas Rebate Act of 2022, and that's going to send monthly payments of $100 to Americans, where the average gas price is higher than $4 a gallon. The program will begin to phase out for individuals earning more than $75,000 and couples earning more than $150,000.
Here, pleased to have invited him to see the most dynamic community, dynamic mayor, and congressional delegation that includes Congressman Al Green, Congressman Celia Garcia, Congressman Lizzie Fletcher, and yours truly, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and there are many others, but this is the dynamic delegation that we're so glad to have.
President Biden, folks, is traveling to more states to draw up more support for his bipartisan infrastructure package, as well as additional plans for investing in families. But governors are criticizing Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer for not already passing the infrastructure bill. What are your thoughts on Speaker Pelosi, everybody, and the Democrats? And who do you think is holding back our stimulus check? Is it senators like Joe Manchin, or is it Mitch McConnell? Tell me who's to blame, everybody, for holding back the fourth stimulus check. Feel free to comment down below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. On this channel, folks, I always do my best in providing you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check news. Now, President Biden...
And we made a decision there and then that our top priority would be to get you relief, to get working people relief, to get checks in pockets and tax credits in bank accounts. And with the help of this labor union, we delivered that relief. And I want to thank you on behalf of the president and myself for the work you did.
Just talked up his bipartisan infrastructure package, as well as additional plans for investing in families and education. President Biden is on a trip to Michigan. It's part of his broader campaign by the administration to bring public support to the infrastructure package and other policies that are geared toward families and education. First Lady Jill Biden is going to Maine and New Hampshire as well, while Vice President Kamala Harris is scheduled to visit a union training center in Las Vegas. Joe Biden said the key is getting his $973 billion deal passed involves taking a case straight to the voters, while Republicans and Democrats might squabble in Washington. Biden's theory is that lawmakers of both parties want to deliver for their constituents. White House officials negotiated the compromise with a bipartisan group of senators led by Republican Rob Portman of Ohio and Democrat Kirsten Sinema of Arizona. The agreement features $109 billion on roads and highways, $15 billion on electric vehicle infrastructure and transit systems, and $65 billion toward broadband, among other spending on airports, drinking water system, and effort to take down climate change. The White House officials negotiated the compromise with a bipartisan group of senators led by Republican Rob Portman and Kirsten Sinema.
There is a move not to preserve Social Security from those on the other side of the aisle, too many of them, but to end it.
The president intends to pass additional initiatives on education and families, as well as tax increases on the wealthy and corporations through the budget reconciliation process. This would allow the passage of President Biden's priorities by a simple majority vote, avoiding the 60-vote hurdle and a Senate split evenly between Democrats and Republicans. But during a town hall meeting, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan toward House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer for holding the bipartisan infrastructure bill endorsed by Biden in order to gain leverage on other spending bills. Larry Hogan spoke about the $953 billion infrastructure bill to approve a pipeline bill and reconciliation would commence within weeks. We expect to have a whole lot done in July, he said. A spokesperson for the Senate Budget Committee declined to comment, but Senator Sanders later told reporters that he is seeking a certain amount of spending. The bottom line here is this country faces crisis. Working families are struggling, and it's about time we paid attention to their needs. Now if you folks agree with Bernie Sanders and his push and the push for more stimulus payments, then let's get this video to 1,000 likes.
A foundation for future American prosperity for years and decades to come through smart and bold investments in our nation's infrastructure. As I've said for weeks, the discussions about infrastructure legislation continue.
Reconciliation is a legislative tactic that only requires 51 votes, though it involves strict budgetary rules. Sanders said this week that his reconciliation bill would include an expansion of Medicare, which would cut the eligibility age to 60 from 65. Senate Democrats are also weighing including immigration reform provisions in a reconciliation bill to help finance part of the infrastructure plan, underscoring their ambition. Democrats narrowly control the Senate and hold a thin majority in the House. They are still negotiating a potential bipartisan deal with Republicans, which has already seen opposition from key progressives, including Sanders. Those talks received a boost on after more GOP and Democratic lawmakers signed on to the skinnier infrastructure bill, expected to focus on traditional elements like roads and bridges. It will be largely financed with unspent relief funds and existing spending. The White House is giving the bipartisan talks until the end of the month and could potentially switch gears, pushing Republicans aside and prioritizing a Democratic-only bill. It may be Sanders' $6 trillion one. Some of Congress Democrats agree with a fourth round of stimulus payments, and some of you can actually receive an extra stimulus check this week. 36 million American families are expected to start receiving monthly relief payments